Hello, I am Allison Eddings with Top Dog Tax and Accounting, and welcome to my April video. There's a lot to cover here. I apologize in advance for the chaos behind me. It's a little bit, it's a chaotic time. This is, my clients know that I've told them, for the most part, that this is the worst tax season ever. Like, I don't know about ever, but like my peers that have been in the industry for 40 plus years are saying this is the worst ever. So it's a little bit messy, a little bit chaotic back there, and I apologize. It is not my style at all. Speaking of things that are not my style, actually, I'll get to that. If you would, subscribe and like if you do like this video and you want to hear other ones. If you are my client, you're probably getting these emails already, or these videos in my email. But if you are not and you find it helpful, the more you like and subscribe, the more this content will help other people who are not my clients, which, you know, if you know me, you know I'm excited about advocating and supporting taxpayers. So I won't get too political on that one though, because, you know, this is kind of, you know, I've decided to stop limiting and throttling my videos just to my clients. So anyway, so today we're going to talk about the advanced child tax credit, the extra credit grant to North Carolina parents, refund delays, lag times at IRS, wonderful art sponsorship that I'm excited to be a part of this year, and what you might be expecting or be getting from the IRS if you had a balance due on your tax return. But first, things that are not my style, but, well, not that I'm opposed to them. We're Top Dog Tax and Accounting because we picked that name because when I started at Deloitte, or, you know, I started at Deloitte, I guess I should say, my nickname was the Bulldog, because I could get information out of people like a bulldog, apparently, even though I guess it was surprising that I'm small and feminine and could get the information that other people couldn't get. And then the next firm I went to, they called me the Bird Dog. They didn't know my nickname was Bulldog. They just called me Bird Dog because they said that I bird dogged issues, that I would point to it and focus on it and deal, you know, not let go of it until it was done. And so in North Carolina, you can't be incorporated as a professional without other, you know, you won't even go into the whys and the wherefores of why it was just me for the longest time. But when my husband joined me in our practice and we had to name it, and I thought, he's the big dog, I'm the bird dog, sometimes the bulldog. But now we have, discovered Wednesday night, because I know you're upset with me. I know I woke you up. I'll let you go back to sleep. I just want to share you with everybody. It's kitten season. Look, it's kitten season. And so we found her in the parking lot of a very busy business late at night when nobody would actually see her. So we scooped her up really quick, tried to find her a home, and it did not take long before it was determined that she has one. So this is right now Kitty Nugget Waffles, because she was found in the parking lot of a Chick-fil-A. So Nugget Waffle Fries. Waffles for short. But so things that are not my style, but might be coming that way. So let's get down to it. Let's see. If you are a North Carolina resident, well, if you were in 2020 and you did not get the extra credit grant, Governor Cooper made a legislative mandate about 10 months ago, allowing parents of school-age children to get a $335 credit. They just mailed out checks, and it was not well implemented. the checks were distributed based on the North Carolina income tax return. Now, I'm not savvy enough in my video skills yet to be able to share with you what the tax return from 2019 looked like, but in 2019, oh goodness, that's too much. In 2019, and it's still actually on the North Carolina return, it does not show how many children you have. The kids are not listed. The only way that it would have been reflected on that return is if you made enough money, but not too much money, to take a North Carolina child tax credit. So that's what they were basing it on to push this money out. So if you didn't earn enough to file a return but lived in North Carolina, you were eligible for it, but you didn't get it. If you made too much and you were in the phase out where you didn't get the child tax credit, but you were still otherwise eligible for it, you didn't get it. So there's been a couple of lawsuits, and currently the extra credit grant deadline has been extended to the end of May, and the application is in the links below in the YouTube video if you come across this because you're not my client. But if you are watching this video because you're my client, you got it through Constant Contact, it is in the email. So just click on that link, follow it through. All you need is your kid's social, your social, mailing address. You only need to list one child. You don't need to list all of them because it's the same amount based on one child or 10 children. It's just $335 per household. Let's see. The next thing. Oh, really excited also, there's a link in the video box, in the box below, also in the email. When times are tough and money is tight, the arts really suffer anyway, but I think the arts have, in my opinion, suffered substantially. They've always been held together by a tenuous thread, but that performing arts were not able to happen during COVID times. They've really suffered, so I'm really excited to be a video sponsor of King David Christian Conservatory's worship concert in June, which will be live streamed. You can go in person and see it, possibly, depending on where you're located and if you want to do that. But it's also being live streamed, and so I'm excited to be a video sponsor of that. So there's a link to their Facebook page where they have the live stream, and also the concert poster too, so that you can get details on that. So let's see, other issues. There's also an attachment with a worksheet that we've made. So in the ARPA law that was passed, I don't even think it was a few months ago yet, not that long. I've never had a tax season where I've had to do continuing education during tax season. This has been rough because there's new legislation that affects things currently just happening like in the middle of tax season. But ARPA changed the child tax credit amount. For 2020, it was $2,000 for a child, for school-age children essentially, and older dependents $500, just roughly. The child tax credit has been changed to $3,600 for preschoolers, basically, and $3,000 for school-agers. And Congress has required that a portion of it be paid to the taxpayers in advance during the year. So it's essentially going to be similar to how you got stimulus payments. That if you get it, you have to report it, because otherwise you'll get it when you file your tax return. But we're going to have to keep up with these. Not really sure how this is going to roll out, because when it happened, when it was passed as legislation, the IRS said, we can't do this. They're really, really struggling, and it takes a lot for me to have compassion for the IRS, because I don't really, I spend my life defending my clients from the overreaches of the IRS, and yet I have compassion for what they've been asked to do right now. They're working with a minimal staff. They were, already struggling from the shutdown 2 years ago or so. They were shut down suddenly unexpectedly due to COVID. They're still not fully staffed yet. They were pushing out and administering 3 stimulus payments, and now they've got to push out this $300 per child payment starting in July. So they're really not sure. There's a press release linked below, but there's also a PDF for you to keep up with this. So go ahead, print it out, put it on your refrigerator. When you get the checks or the direct deposits or the debit cards, if they send them in debit cards, we really don't know how it's going to be implemented right now. But you can just write in there the date you got it and how much you got, and then just bring it to me this time next year when we're doing your taxes. And if you are not a client of mine, so that you're not getting the constant contact, you don't have the PDF, you can go to my site, topdog.tax, and when you sign up to get the emails, it will let you have the PDF. I'll go out and set that up right now when I get off this video, so that you can have that PDF that will help you track the advanced child tax credits. So I am surprised she's still sitting here. I expected to put her in the cow. So let's see. If you had a balance due, at least federal. Come here, let's go back in here. Yeah, go back in there and wait to see if I look you up. I was mean. Yes, she's in a hamster cage right now. She fits in a hamster cage. If you had a balance due on your federal return for 2020 and you did not pay with, let's roll it back. Let's roll it back because there's even an issue here before this. So if you had a balance due and you gave me payment information for processing, IRS may not have pulled it. They are taking forever they are taking forever to draft payment. So just be patient, wait. If they don't draft it 2 to 3 weeks, I mean, we have a foot to stand, a leg to stand on. If they take a month to draft it, do let me know so that we can see if there's something we need to do, but it might take longer than you expect. But if you had a balance due return, which means that you were not getting a refund and you did not give me your bank account and routing information to pay it, you had to pay it with a check, or you went on to EFTPS, or you somehow otherwise paid it, or you didn't pay it at all. In all of those circumstances, didn't pay it with the return, paid it with the check, or paid at EFTPS, you're going to get letters from the IRS. Don't freak out. Just scan them and send them to us. You can use the scan function on your phone even. Take a picture, hover over a little square object. It'll often ask you if you want to scan it. And you can just upload that to the secure file server. You're going to get a letter. The first letter, and just heads up, I've said this in other videos, in the top right hand corner of the letter from the IRS, if the letter, it says LTR for a letter number, because these are form letters. If the letter starts with a CP, it's computer generated. I don't know why it's not CG, because it's computer generated. I don't know what CP is supposed to stand for. I should probably figure that out. But if it says CP, it's computer generated. And it's just going to say, this was your amount due. They're basically agreeing with you. It's not that they're sending you a bill. It's not that they're not sending you anything you don't already know. They're just sending you that. Then you might get a second letter. The second letter will say, these are your penalties. You're going to pay penalties. Now, unless Congress says otherwise. But taxes, I've said this before, taxes are due December 31st. If you pay your balance due with your return, you might have penalties. You have to pay 100% of the previous year's tax liability or 98% of the current year's tax liability by December 31st to avoid penalty. So let's just get that out there right away. You're going to have penalties if you had a balance due return and it was not, at least you had not paid, your balance due was more than 2% of your total tax, which that's on a different line for different forms, so I'm not even going to tell you what line number that is. Just don't be surprised by it. So you have a long time before you get a garnishment order or a levy notice. Even the first letter that says we intend to garnish and levy is not a garnish and levy. If it's not coming certified mail, it's not a garnish and levy. But they will use those terms. So I'm just letting you know. Don't be surprised. Don't freak out. Don't panic and call us at 7 o'clock on a Saturday and go, "Oh, this needs to be resolved right now." They can wait till Monday. It's okay. But do open it. Open all your IRS mail. If you really insist on not opening your IRS mail, give it to us. Because you need to deal with it. So, refund delays. I was in a continuing education during tax season. Another one, a different one. There's just been so many. And a IRS agent was in there that said, even if everything went back to normal, even if they were fully staffed and everyone was on site and everything was good, it would take them 3 years to dig out from the backlog. And this was before the third stimulus. This was before the advanced child tax credit. This was, So there's delays, y'all. There's going to be some significant delays. Just dropped that in my tea. There's going to be some really significant delays in processing refunds. Not only that, because of Stimulus 1 and Stimulus 2 having to be reported on your return and reconciled. I think I addressed that in the previous video, or for last month. Go back and watch that one, because you're not getting taxed on it, but it does need to be reported accurately. If you were due $1,200 and you only got $600, you're going to get the other $600 in your return, right? Well, apparently all this needs to be manually reviewed. If you had child tax credit, if you had earned income credit, if you had stimulus payments, which is crazy because, that's everybody, pretty much. So, and so almost every return is being manually reviewed. That does not mean audited. That just means they're double checking that some clerk somewhere is going, this should be that should be that, yes, go. So it's not an audit or anything. It's just a manual review and release. And I wouldn't even bother calling the IRS right now. There's a link in the email to an article that says, and this is what's been in the press release of the IRS, only 7% of phone calls are being answered. 7% of phone calls. So now I'm not even getting through. And I'm curious to hear what you have to say about this, and you can comment in the YouTube below on what you think about this. I'll turn the comments on because I'm really curious. So there is a piece of software that you can buy that I have not bought that pushes me to the front of the line when I call the IRS. So I don't have to sit on hold for 2 hours and then get hung up on. It pushes me to the front of the line. I find it terribly unethical. Because what it does is means that, some people never, ever, ever get through because they're not paying for the piece of software to push them to the front of the line. And I just don't know. I don't know if I want to just buy it and do it just one day and bang out a bunch of phone calls and then stop and jump off. Don't know how I feel about that. I'm curious to hear what you feel about that. So I think that's it for this month. I hope you guys are doing well and staying safe, and I look forward to seeing you in person again very soon. Take care. Don't forget to like and subscribe.